Before we jump into today's story, quick Marvel trivia. Which city does the very first Venom movie take place in? If you remember the answer, leave it in the comments down below. Otherwise, stick around for the end of the video and see if your guess is correct. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
Agent Romanoff, you miss me?
Oh yeah, Charles, we got ourselves an X-Men fan.
Captain.
Your Highness.
Captain, big fan, Spider-Man. Hey everyone.
Hey guys, and welcome to Film Artsy, your #1 source for all things films and movies. And for a very long time, fans have been speculating and looking to answers as to when we could potentially see some sort of crossover movie between Venom, played by Tom Hardy, and Spider-Man, played by Tom Holland. Now, obviously, with Sony building up their own Spider-Man universe and branching off and having different characters, specifically like Venom, it seems only destined that these characters face off at one point or another, which is something fans would really love to see. And finally, it looks like we have an official answer, and it's actually a pretty great take on where this Venom series could be going, and if it'll cross over with Spider-Man at some point or another. So recently there was an interview with IGN where they talked to director of Venom Let There Be Carnage, Andy Serkis, and of course the question was brought up whether or not there will be some sort of crossover with Spider-Man. Now at first he makes the joke that it's not on the table and not something that'll ever happen, but then he puts it bluntly saying of course it's gonna happen, which right away is great news if you're a fan of Venom and you want to see this big type of crossover film. But Andy Serkis actually elaborated on the whole thing a little bit, giving a little bit of context as to why they're not rushing some sort of big Spider-Man crossover movie. He said in the interview, "But I think there's so much. Look, it depends when you want to get there and also what the appetite is. If people want more Venom stories than to jump to Spider-Man, you could be missing out on so many great supervillain characters in between now and then. So in a way, by rushing to it, you might be closing the door." So it is a really interesting perspective, as it does make sense that the approach to not rush a crossover of Venom and Spider-Man, as it would defeat some level of build-up and tension that could be built over multiple movies and also investment in the characters themselves. There is definitely a good reason as to why they might not want to jump straight to doing a Spider-Man versus Venom film. If we compare it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it would be like if after 1 or 2 movies they jumped straight to Avengers Endgame. It ended up doing really well because it had years of build-up, and maybe that's the approach that they're looking to with Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage, where they want to build up some level of depth and attachment to Eddie Brock before throwing him at some big crossover movie, which will make the payoff much better. But there is something a little bit relieving about this interview, where we at least know one day it's on the table and very likely going to happen, rather than constantly being in a state of wondering whether we will ever actually get to see the crossover. It's more than likely going to happen. It's in the works for Sony's plan with Venom. Just when and how many movies until then will still leave a big question mark. It looks like they really want to explore Venom's universe a bit more with the symbiote and introduce more characters along the way before necessarily putting this ultimate face-off between Spider-Man and Venom, which likely will inevitably happen, but it could also serve as one of the finales for the Venom character, and they want to make sure they treat it correctly. So what do you guys think about all of this? Do you agree with the decision to kind of push back the Spider-Man and Venom crossover, but also still have it in the works? Let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Also, if you remembered that the movie did take place in San Francisco, one area that is used in multiple movies in the Marvel universe, such as Ant-Man and Shang-Chi, you were definitely correct, and it'd be interesting to see maybe other Marvel movies cross over as we see the Venom universe coming closer and closer to the main part of the MCU as the universes progress. That's it for today though. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss any future videos. We'll see you all next time with a brand new video.